Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm Nichola, and this is my good friend, Laara Copley-Smith. And I've asked her to come in today to talk to my community about money and finances and resources and how we can change those for the better for us, right? So we're so linked in and tied into this system, and how we can break out of that and create our own financial freedom. Would that be a good way of saying it, Laara?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we all need to be creating wealth and transforming, our money history story. And we can all do it. We might not necessarily think that we can. And perhaps it's not going to be a quick route. It's going to be a slow progress, but we have to start somewhere.
And it might actually be easier than we think.
I think it is easier than we think. And the thing is that if we stay stuck and don't make any movement to even try, then, it's not easy, is it? Because we're never going to move off that stump. We're just going to stay in the same place. So I think being open and making that decision that whatever your situation is with money, whatever your past experience has been with money, that you're going to create change is step one.
Yes, and there's the Queen. So when the Queen's come forward, I'm just taking from my deck at the top. This is very much about being aligned to truth. That's what the Queen of Swords is very much about. And she's the sort that would take control of her finances. But in order for her to do that, she would first have to be aligned to what is right for her and what is true for her. And to then possibly cut out anything in her life that is stopping her, preventing her from stepping into that truth and living in that truth and creating wealth for herself. So the Queen of Swords would be somebody that would need to use their mindset or change their mindset, make sure their mindset is aligned in order to then be able to grow their wealth. So that's why the Queen of Swords is coming through today. She's like, well, some of you may need to change your attitude towards money or towards yourself, or change your story in some way. With the Queen as well, we're almost at a completion cycle. So she's saying, girl, you're ready to change your story. Let's talk. And that's why we're here. And that's what I've seen you do as well. Like, we've been friends for about 10 years, maybe 12 years or so.
Probably longer,
maybe
I think.
even longer now.
About 12 years.
Yes. And I have seen you walk your path so gently. You're very gentle, but you've always spoken your truth, and you've always just lived your truth. I know you love gardening and working with earth and things. And then in the last 3 years particularly, I've seen you really step into something new, again, very gently. And I've just seen your growth happen. And I keep getting the word gentle for some reason. It just keeps coming through. But it can actually be a very gentle, easy process if we do what the Queen is saying, which is about really honoring ourselves, honoring our truth, being courageous, being brave, and going, I'm going to change my story. I deserve it. This Queen, she wants you to know that you deserve to have the things that you want to have and that your heart desires. So would you like to let my community know a little bit about how your journey started, when you started to change your money story? Do you think it's in that place?
Yeah, we could do. I mean, for me, money was never like the goal to be wealthy, or even all the way through my career, my focus has always been creativity, because at the end of the day, I'm a creative, an artist, a designer. And so that was always my leading, that was always the direction that I went in, and the money happened or it didn't happen, So I've had, as a creator and artist, a very up and down career financially, and worked in construction for over 22 years. So that kind of says a lot for people who've worked in that industry. And I think really, I think that it's amazing and it's fantastic having a passion and skills and crafts and, you know, leading your life for your passions. But what I come to realize, and especially this last year, is that if you're not creating a solid foundation financially, you're pretty stuffed. You know,
Yes.
you're on a rabbit wheel. And actually what I also see looking back on my career path, and that when you have, you know, if you've got money stuff going on, you're not fully, you know, it's more difficult, should I say, to be fully in that creativity. So money gives freedom. And I know, you know, that there's a lot of people who think money's evil, and lots of wealthy people are evil or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I've actually worked for quite a lot of very, very wealthy people, and they come from all, you know, they're all types. And I certainly wouldn't say that they're all like stingy or evil, or they spend money on creative people. They spend, you know, so, and I truly, you know, there is a lot of money in the world. We all deserve to be in a good financial place. I truly believe that we deserve that. But we come through life with a whole story from our parents and their parents, and we carry that, you know. So, you know, when you talk about mindset, and it's kind of, you know, you have to, if you're going to change your relationship with money, then you do need to be looking at what that relationship is. And it might be not nice.
I'm just giggling there because I just saw these cards when he was speaking. I just had them, and he just said we have to look at, and this is the card of when somebody is not able to look at their story. It could be that this person is under such pressure financially, or doesn't have very much financially, doesn't even want to look at their finances. Also, that can be a card that talks about self-worth, because sometimes when we're not creating money or don't have money in our lives, it can be because there's something within us in our own self of self-worth, right, that can prevent that from then coming. But then when we do take the blindfold off, this is what we can have, this is what we can create. I mean, it's, look at that card, it's so beautiful. And that's the promise that's given to us by God as well, that that's our birthright, to be happy and to be free. And as we know, finances do play a part in that, and how much, you know, what we can do then in our lives. So that was great. Keep talking, because I'm just going to lay cards out as you go.
And saying, you know, it is our birthright to thrive. We don't, yes, we come to earth for this journey and this tapestry of everything, but we are here to thrive, and freedom and thriving is our birthright. It
is our birthright. And it's fun. It's actually fun. You've had moments in your life when you've really thrived and everything has just been wonderful. And those moments, great. We can make them longer lasting too, if we get our foundation right. So we were talking a little bit before as well about making sure the foundation is set. And the Three of Pentacles very much talks about that. It talks about consistency. It talks about patience. It talks about building something, and with a team, actually, the Three of Pentacles is very much about not having to do it on your own, but doing it with other people, working to a plan. So you have a vision, you take the blindfold off, right? You accept your life in all its forms. You change your mindset and you go, do you know what? That is what I want. That is what I'm striving for. I'm going to create it. I'm going to build it. I'm going to do the groundwork. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to look at the painful things if I have to. I'm not afraid. I'm going to plant my seeds, and I'm going to then kind of work with the universe and God in this kind of a symbiotic relationship, because you plow the field, you plant the seeds, but then you have to allow God to do the rest. They come together. So it's us and the universe, us and God, us and spirit, however, you know, you'd be comfortable saying it. It's a team, it's teamwork.
At the same time, we can't just do all that and think that we can just manifest it and sit on a tree stump.
We have to do the work, don't we? We have to do the work. That's what you see there, doing the work. Yeah,
we have to do the work. And it's interesting because, you know, a lot of our community is creative, arty, holistic, very much for the earth and nature, and, you know, healers and what have you. Yeah. And what I see is that lots of people have certain things, you know, certain, I call them the 7 modalities of alchemy and transformation, but there's like these areas that we give attention, like our, you know, our spiritual selves and our physical, you know, people wanting to heal and be healthy, mind. And you could, you know, I mean, I've got 7 of them, and finance is one of them. And we often make it our little finger, you know, like,
it's interesting. Yeah.
I'm just going to put all my energy over here and getting my meditation right. Sorry, I don't want to trigger anyone. I probably will. Or getting my body right and my diet and my juicing or my keto or whatever. And it's like the money's tapping because you've got a pile of bills, and it's like, well, what about the finance? You know, we've never been taught to really be taking care of that, have we?
No, we never taught that in school. Funny that they didn't want to empower us, did they, when we were at school? So it's interesting you said 7, because this is 7. But there's 7 on the bush that aren't quite ready yet for harvesting, but there is one there. And you mentioned the little finger. You put the little finger up, and there's that represented there, that card.
Little pinky.
Little pinky.
Little pinky. I was going to see if I could just find my 7, because
so those are like what, 7 pillars that you have, that you've got your framework that keep your life balanced and stable. Is that what you're saying?
Well, sort of modalities, if that makes sense. If you give me a moment, I'll see if I can just find my website. But it was really when I was, you know, I said, you asked me about my progress or my process, you know, so designer, creative. I had other passions that I wanted to bring into the world, and which I did I did start to do in the Empowered Queen that I website that I created.
Right, yeah, I remember.
And that was where really I kind of like configured my 7 modalities. However, what I was discovering along the way was all of that, you know, you focus on, you know, your life purpose, your passions, your spiritual, your body, you know, your health and diet. And for a lot of us, the finances are just like something that happened along the way. And that was really what rooted me into and where the direction came for me into trading and crypto and much more of a focus on the money.
Like, so this little pentacle here can bring us into crypto, because this is something that we're going to talk about. This is something that we're going to help my audience or our audience grow as well, if they're interested. So we know that the world is changing. We know that it's not going to be the same, that we're coming through this time of darkness, as you've got here with the moon. We're coming out of the maritime laws. I know you can talk maybe a little bit about that as well, how we're connected to that. And we come through this into great healing, and we can be masters of our own destiny.
We can.
So cryptos are the future, aren't they? And for the regular people like you and me, and this is something that we can, something tangible that we can invest in, even if it's a small amount, and then grow.
It
Is that
is.
right?
I mean, I was late into crypto, and I'm definitely not going to say that I'm an expert. So I was a late person into crypto. However, I did get fascinated, and that was really kind of early last year, when we went into, free fall, and I could see the economy was going to be closed down. And where I started was I was introduced to trading and Bitcoin the previous year. But in March, I got really interested in what was happening underneath everything that we were seeing out in the world, and more into what was this crypto? What was it used for? How can it be used? And the financial system, what was happening with the bankers' financial system. So I think that there's multiple things. I mean, there's so much about, it's a massive topic. And I think that there is going to be a lot of people who make an awful lot of money in crypto, but but you can lose a lot of money also.
Yeah.
I also think that that people just need to start to explore other things other than the normal route of money, meaning just having a bank account. They could make an account on an exchange where you can buy crypto. I'm not going to say that I think you should buy this, that, and the other, because it's all volatile, and especially at the moment. Yeah, on my journey, I went from somebody who was non-techie, even though I was a designer. Everything is by hand drawn, hand technical plans, not a techie person. So I went from totally non-technical, not knowing what on earth, like what's Bitcoin? What? Everyone said, gee, you don't know? No, I've no idea. I didn't even have an online bank account. So that's how much of a dinosaur. Well, I didn't really need one, to be perfectly honest. To somebody who has got exchanges on numerous platforms, got accounts on numerous platforms, is very comfortable with exploring the crypto world, using wallets, which is what you use to send crypto or Bitcoin. And so I've gone from somebody who didn't have an online bank account to totally, the other way. So it's incredibly empowering. And what I notice now, I'm helping people come into I'll just say a project that we're involved in. What I notice is that a lot of people are very disempowered, like I was. We didn't know how to do all sorts of things. We were scared about making, I wasn't scared about making an exchange and doing all that. I was just told by Hazel, you need to do this. Oh, okay, all right. So I'm pretty practical like that. I just went off and did it, and that's it. That was the start, if you know what I mean.
Yes, and that's that little pentacle there. That's the start of the new seed that you've now planted, and you have beautiful growth from that as well. I've loved watching your journey over those three years, I think, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Since that came into your life, and I've seen you change, but I haven't seen you as a person change in any way. But only that you've grown.
I have grown,
and you're more yourself. You're more true to yourself, and you're more you. And your life just gets brighter. That's what I see. So can I ask, actually, because I have the moon there, so the moon can point to illusion and deception, fraud and criminality, okay? We've also then got the King of Wands, which is next to it, which talks about somebody that has authority then over the money situation. We've got a few pentacles there, so we can tie it into there. So what would you say that could then lead into perhaps a question about, well, isn't this deep state? Isn't this illusion? Isn't this itself a fraud if I go down the crypto road?
Well, golly, I mean, you can get into, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to buy this crypto because it's deep state, or I mean, don't go out your house. Just, you know what I mean? It's like lock yourself up because the government's laid the roads. It's like we are in this world and we have to make it work and use what we can to empower ourselves. You know, the banking system is changing. You can't stop it.
No.
That train is running. It's going to be digital, central bank digital currency. All the countries are going to have a central bank digital currency. And there's not necessarily, as I see it, there's not necessarily going to be a one world currency, or maybe they'll try later. Who knows? I don't know. But by limiting our options, we limit our potential. So just stay with the bank if that's what you choose. But it is going to be, digital. Everything. So that's like an electronic record of money moving, or a figure moving, you know, or, you know, a digital token, and there'll be like a bridge currency, a bridge token between the countries. And there's no stopping that. You know, it's been in planning for a decade, and you can,
practically a decade, the Eight of Pentacles. There you go. That's just kind of like mirroring what you're saying. But the thing is that the money system itself, the banks are the deep state. But the cryptocurrency that we can take this offer that's coming from God, right, from the universe, and create something new. So we can turn our back on that system, because you see how this is coming from here, this side. So it's like we're turning our back on that, and then we're building something new.
Apart from, I'd be not being truthful if I said that all cryptocurrency was, you know, made in heaven and all godly.
Yeah,
that's just not the case.
Not true, though.
So in actual fact, a lot of the, you know, there are cryptocurrencies, whether you want to call them tokens or assets or currency, that will be used within the new system. So there's no getting away from that, because everything that's going to be used, I mean, some things are going to be used for creative endeavors and are. Some things will be used in what will be called smart contracts. You know, the real estate will be tokenized. Shares will probably be tokenized. So, you know, if you get phobic around this, you're never going to make any change. You know, and there's going to be people who make, and some people are not going to like hearing this, but there's going to be some people who are going to make a lot of money from cryptocurrency that is going to be used in the new system. And so you make a choice. I want freedom. I want to leave the UK. I want the freedom to buy land or you know, space where I can grow lots more, be in a better climate where I have more potential on all of that outdoor stuff. And so to do that, am I going to say, no, I'm absolutely 100% not going to invest in that cryptocurrency that's going to be used by such and such a body because the deep state? Or am I going to just get on and empower my future?
I know what you're going to do.
And
you're already doing it. That's the thing. You made that call.
You
made that call 3 or so years ago, and I've watched that growth. And it has been secure, and you've been consistent. And it's like it hasn't, you know, the growth that you've achieved isn't stuff that's just like fallen in your lap. just because you made a decision, you still had to plant the seeds and do the work to help it grow. And a lot of that can be down to mindset again as well, and belief.
Yeah, I think ultimately we have to decide what we want.
Yes, get the vision. Get the vision.
How do I get there?
And what do I want, and how do I get there? What steps do I take?
Yeah.
So it could be that somebody wants to buy a little off-grid home, for example, because that seems to be the way that we're going and the best for us. So they might decide, oh, you know, I would love to live in a forest somewhere or near a forest and just have a lovely little home or something. That's the vision. That's your vision set. And then it's like, okay, so what can I do? What steps can I take to get myself there? And the first thing that someone's going to have to do is invest in themselves in some way.
And predominantly, I'm in a number of groups that are to do with diggers and dreamers type things, you know, people wanting to be off grid and what have you. And I see a lot of things being said where people haven't got the money.
Yeah.
So, you know, we can have this dream and fantasy, but we can't create it without going down a beggar's route.
Which brings us to that. And that's like not seeing. She's blindfolded, right?
And not wanting to see. It can even be not wanting to see that actually you'd be better off, you know, giving some folk, you know, having a structured plan of how you're going to create the money. How are you going to support yourself on financially? How are you going to get yourself out of current debt?
Yeah. How you don't have to be a slave to the system and work hard. With this card, there's something, look at his, like, can you see his shoulders and his face and everything? He looks so tired and worn from doing all of this work, but only getting a little bit back. So this might be somebody that's like, you know what? I don't want to work in this system anymore. I want to actually bring myself out of it. All this financial insecurity that you can see there in that little card. So he thinks, okay, so what can I do to build my dream? What can I do? What are my first steps? Well, that would be about getting the foundation set. And that can mean different things for different people. Again, that Queen of Swords brings us back to the mindset. You've got to have the power of belief, first of all, and then you find the people that to help you. And making an investment in yourself can be that you make an investment financially in something, in your crypto, to help it grow. It can even be that you decide, I'm not going to buy wine anymore. I'm not going to buy cigarettes anymore. I'm not going to eat that junk food because that's stopping me from living my dreams. So sometimes we have to look at the difficult things we don't want to look at and see in order then to get ourselves to this. This is the ultimate in human experience, this card. It's beautiful. And that can be true for us. We can have that.
We can have that. It's not sometimes, it's every time.
Yeah.
It's every time we have to look at the difficult stuff if we want to or not.
We do. We have to face that stuff. And that Queen of Swords, she's very brave. I'm a Queen of Swords because I'm Aquarius. And so she's an Aquarius, a Gemini or Libra energy as well. And, you know, they're very good at kind of slicing through what doesn't serve, what doesn't work. And also then with the Knight of Pentacles, this is about planning again. So the Pentacles are all about resources, finances, and the material world. So I'm glad to see them coming through. This Knight of Pentacles is thinking long term, and he's planning, and he's being very diligent, and he's doing all of his research. He's gathering all of the data and all of the facts. And then he's just taking his time. He's preparing to launch, but doing like all the groundwork again. So this is stability. The Pentacles are very stable. So there will be some cryptocurrencies that are in it for the long term, and that will grow over time and produce a successful crop and harvest for people.
But even without that, you know, if you look at what the banks do with our money, you know, they use our money.
They do.
To make money.
They do. It's so cheeky.
And in actual fact, you know, I mean, I'm sure I won't say things that I think that they do to make money, but, you know, you can look at the Forex market that I'm kind of involved in. You know, the project we're involved in is connected to the Forex market. So, you know, things like that are open to us also.
Yeah.
Via various different routes.
So, yes, so it's interesting as you talk about that. This is the Seven of Swords. This is the thief in the deck. This is the baddie. So that's the bankers who are stealing our money. That's it. Just come through in the cards. That's what they're doing. We want justice.
And we have to take our power back
We have to
get justice.
Yeah.
And use what is available to us.
Yeah.
To thrive.
Yeah. We know as well that it's to do with maritime law, isn't it? So we've got the maritime here. So I was just looking at this card. And it's almost like this person here, these two pentacles, which would represent money as well, they're not touching. You see?
Sorry, I have a visitor. I'm hoping he's not going to come to my office. So go on, carry on.
All right. So the maritime law is put in place to keep us from experiencing true wealth. I'm just looking at how these two pentacles are kind of at the opposite ends of the cards. And the insecurity then that this kind of puts onto us, this would be us, quite humble people, right? And all this going on in the background. They took us, didn't they? Made a contract on us. They made a contract on our name, and they trade on us, and they earn money from us, and we don't earn the money that they're using our name to trade on. They take it, which, you know, is that one, Seven of Swords.
I mean, when you start to talk about maritime law, you know, maritime system, and you know, it's a straw man, isn't it? And it's very, very complex, and it is a rabbit hole. But basically, you know, we are born into the world as creditors, so to speak. And our birth certificates put us into a contract. You know, we become a commodity, if you like. And then from the birth certificate, would you call it a fraud? Conspiracy? Would you call it a conspiracy? What would you call it?
Fraud.
To do with the birth certificate, you know, and us becoming kind of like a dead entity, you know, and in effect, everything else, so many other things that happen from that are contracts that we as a dead person make with the government, make with the tax office, make with the utilities, make with, you know, I mean, it really is like incredibly complex how you get out of that, really. And a bit of a minefield, and even in the language, you know, there's a, like in courts and letters and official things that come through the post and scare you, saying you owe, it is often in a language that's very specific to the maritime system. So we need to make loads of dosh.
We do. And what then they do it as well to kind of keep this person poor and dependent on the state as well. And that's the contract. It's an oath, it's a blood oath, because they take a prick of our heel when we're born. And that's your blood oath, that's your blood contract that we made without even having any conscious will over it. So we've got to get that back, because that was a nasty deed that they came up with. So with the Two of Pentacles there as well, you can see somebody that may not have very much, but the money's going out in loads of different places. So we could be talking about perhaps starting to, I don't know, we've got the Eight of Cups here as well. So it's like we need to leave that story behind, or we need to walk away from this maritime contract that they have us on. And we can walk away from that. That's the thing. We don't have to stay stuck in it. We can, can't we? Follow our intuition, follow the moon there, and go to something better. Decisions. There's the Lovers. So it's a decision that is made when you have that vision in place. But the cards are kind of showing that we can leave that behind, which is really nice, because it's not making people happy. No, that's not a card of happiness. And that's what you did a few years ago, 3 years ago, wasn't it?
Well,
you made that decision.
I wouldn't say that I've moved out of it, because I'm still, I mean, I honestly don't know all the ins and outs of how to get out of the system. It needs a lot of studying, and there are some very good groups to do with studying. And I think it's the Black Law book, isn't it? Black's Law, something along those lines. I haven't read it, but I mean, there's lots of people who did their oath and did all of the notices to do with the Magna Carta, but it doesn't stop those red letters coming through your door.
No.
So I mean,
I imagine it might actually increase the amount that come through your door when you do that. Can you just ignore them?
Well, I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going to go into that. I'm not an expert, and I'm kind of like on my journey.
Yeah.
With all of that maritime.
That's a bit more legal as well, so be careful there too. But it's basically what the cards are saying, that it is our divine birthright to be free, to be financially free, emotionally free and stuff, and that we can actually we can focus on that and focus on building that. There are ways.
There are ways, definitely, most certainly there are.
Yeah.
And it starts with us.
Yes. So it starts with our story, our self-belief, our feelings of self-worth as well. That's what the cards have started with, which makes total sense. And look, Ace of Cups. We can bring ourselves that new beginning. This is where everything is just flowing. It's beautiful. All the senses are flowing. Great freedom, joy, peace, contentment, and happiness in that card. That's peace on earth. We can bring that. So if we'll drink from that cup, we fill ourselves up, we can then bring that out into the world as well. And it's really for humble people too. This is what this conversation is for, isn't it? It's for the people like you and me that maybe are at that stage where we're needing to build something. We want to get free. And it's like, how am I going to do it? How can I do it? And here is an opportunity, maybe through me and Laara, that people can do it. Laara's very good with the money story as well. So you're quite a few steps ahead of me. And I've just been sat there just watching. I've been like the Knight of Pentacles, right? And I've been like, I'm just going to observe quietly and watch for growth. And I can now say that I've seen enough growth that I'm more than happy now to bring this to my peeps as well, if it's something that they would like.
Okay, thank you very much.
So myself and Laara are going to do like a weekly conversation, aren't we, to help people. Whether you want to come in with what we're doing or not, we're going to bring as much value as we can to help people get started in changing their relationship with money. So if you have any questions after watching this, please put them in the comment box. Myself and Laara can look at them and we can talk about them in future conversations. Yeah.
Yeah, any questions, we can aim to answer them, depending on how many come in. I don't know how many questions.
No, we don't know either. No, don't know either. But in the meantime, we shall sit patiently. That's what the High Priestess. The High Priestess comes in when she's often holding space for something. So there's wisdom in her and mystery and stuff. So the High Priestess would talk about following your gut. So if it feels good, do it. If it doesn't feel good, then hold back. The High Priestess is all about just trusting your intuition and going with the flow. Some people might be feeling conflicted and might not be ready to make changes. That's the Five of Wands there. Another thing is that can show that we're being kept divided, right? They've got us in chaos. And really this is how everybody in this card could be. You got another visitor at your door. So if you're wondering what deck this is, by the way, this is the Master Tarot deck. I just got this. It came yesterday and I'm just in love with it. Just such beautiful cards. The color here is just lovely. So yeah, this is how they have people fighting. This is how we can be, our true spiritual self. Money worries is often with this card as well. Now this will speak then to people who maybe are kept awake at night time, and it's like, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to put food on the table? How am I going to put petrol in my car? Do I feed my daughter, my baby, or do I buy nappies? Some people are that desperate that it's literally down, do I buy milk for my baby or nappies? So this is what we're looking at. This is a card of where it just, you feel hopeless. Things feel really dark. You feel penned in. A lot of people are penned in as well by their finances.
Yeah,
and not able to live freely. So it's about focus, intention. Where focus goes, energy flows. So that Ace of Swords is 1, take an opportunity. 2, just focus, go for it, have a target, have a vision, know what you're doing and take action, and you'll get it. Hierophant, just making sure you do things the right way. This talks about moral behavior as opposed to immoral behavior and things like that. This is also very sacred. We have divine masculine, divine feminine energy. So it's kind of blending the two together. Letting go and letting God, and surrendering. Surrendering over anything that's bringing you conflict. Surrender anything that is making you hurt. Turn your worries over to God. Be careful that you're not praying for what you don't want, because that's what you'll get. So the Hierophant will come through often, a reminder, like read your scriptures or ancient texts or anything like that. This for me is, I love this card. I find them so sacred. So it's about creating a structure for ourselves that's both intuitive and kind of mainstream. It's kind of bringing the two together and alchemizing them in some way and making something new. So we can get out of this. We can get ourselves out of bed, increase our self-worth, our sense of belonging. And we can then turn that upside down, and that effect can leave our life. That's it. It's quite simple, really. I think it's quite simple. We make it so complicated because there's so much story and emotion attached, isn't it? It's very emotionally charged, the story of money.
It is. It is. But when you embrace it, you know, it's your first step, isn't it, into empowerment.
Yes. And then think about all the good things you can do in the world as well when you have extra money.
Absolutely.
The things that you're very able to give, you're more generous with others as well. You can have dreams and you can build things. I look forward to building things in the future with money as well, helping environmentally and stuff. So putting the money to good use and having a good vision for the money as well. So it's something that you have not only for yourself, but then to give back. If we all do that, we create these ripples, and then the beast can just go out of our sight, can't he? The beast system.
Yes. Yeah.
So is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Well, the only thing is that it starts with us.
Yes.
So, you know, it starts with us getting clarity on what we want to create, what we want, and then that identifies all the stuff that we don't want. Yes. And we do have to go into our old story. There is no escaping.
We have to face it. That Two of Swords is there at the very beginning. We have to all face it. Yeah, and then rise to the challenge. There's quite a few sword cards in there, and that's about, you know, God's like, I gave you a sword to cut evil out of your life. That sword represents courage and bravery and valor and honesty and things.
Yeah,
we can make it happen. Yeah. So Laara, thank you so much. Lovely chatting to you today. I know my audience will love you as much as I do, I'm sure. And we're going to be doing these every Tuesday, isn't that our plan? Every Tuesday morning. Yeah, we'll have something. So please leave comments in the box for us that we can come back to. If you want me to pull the tarot as well, quite happy to do that for you too. I love the way the tarot is here, just helping kind of show the story and things we're talking about in images. So we can create the world that we want. It's up to us. And this makes me think that all the seeds germinate in the dark.
Absolutely.
This isn't just about fraud and deception and stuff. It's about also following your intuition, following your gut, and then maybe allowing yourself to come out of here and then on a new path, which may yet be unclear and unknown. But you follow that. This is leading you home, which is nice. Oh. We don't want him anymore. Look, the Queen of Swords is there. She's going to deal with him. She's going to boot him out. So this can be the saboteur. This is the inner critic as well. This is the guy that may not want you to succeed. It could be a part of yourself as well. You know, those old tapes that run, the voices that we hear, oh, you're not good enough. That comes from him. But she, look, he's running right into the Queen. I love that. He doesn't even know. He's put some right, and she's going to serve him his justice, kick him out. So that's what we have to do. We have to kick out that part of us that doesn't want us to succeed, and that kind of can destroy the quality of our life as well. Okay.
I acknowledge it. I think we should end on, you know, acknowledging it, thanking it for our, because it's part of our growth.
And then walk away.
Yeah, and walking,
and creating something new. This is the time.
This is the time.
There's no time to sit back and wait, is there?
No, there is no time to sit back. There's no time for procrastination.
No, not anymore. No.
Thank you very much for having me today.
Thank you for coming, Laara.
I look forward to next week.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much. And as I said, please leave comments or questions in the box for us below. Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless, darling. God bless. God bless.